everybody, and welcome to our new series. And this series is called Connecting with Clients to Find the Code. So let's go ahead and get started. As you can recall, a story I tell quite often in my seminars and in my training, a story about when I was in Texas doing ride-alongs with a service company, and they sent me to a call and I had no idea what the call was about. But then I took a peek at my phone and it told me that you're being sent out there with one of our service technicians, and it says, "Woman wants to cancel her contract and never work with our company again." And I'm like, wow, well, I don't know what will happen on this call, but I do know that I'm going to make an effort to connect with this person and see what's going on. So I got to the door, and she opened the door door opened, and I said, "Hey, Evelyn, what's going on there today? How can I help you today?" And she said, "Well, first of all, I want to cancel my contract. I never want to see you guys again. But I definitely want to have you do the last maintenance call here so we can get the job done, and then just write something up in writing saying that the agreement's been canceled because you guys ripped me off." And I said, "Really? How do we rip you off? What happened?" She goes, "Well, last time the guy was here, he said the electrical was going to burn my house down. He said that the electrical was dangerous and it was going to burn my house down. And so he goes, if you talk about electrical again, then you can just get out of my house." And that's how the conversation started. And I said, "Well, first of all, just let me say thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for inviting us into your home. And that's definitely not the kind of service that we're trying to provide. As a matter of fact, they brought me in from out of town just to help with these kind of scenarios." And so I said, "Where would you like us to start?" She says, "Well, let's come over here by the inside. They usually start with changing the filters." So we went into the home, and we had my friend Tizak, who was a technician who worked for the company, and he was working on the filter, and I saw 5 puppies in a cage. And I said, "Well, first of all, Evelyn, thanks for inviting us in your home, and one thing I got to tell you, I'm an animal lover, and I love puppies, especially these 5 little guys." I said, "Now, is these your babies? Are these yours?" And she said, no, I rescue these guys, these little puppies." And I said, "You do? What happens?" And she goes, "Well, every month I go to the animal shelter in San Antonio, Texas, and I rescue 5 puppies, and I go on Craigslist or some of the advertisements, and I place ads to find them homes." And I just said, "Well, Evelyn, first of all, let me just say thank you for sharing that, and I can tell you one thing for sure is that that I am fortunate to have somebody in the home, be in a home today with somebody like you who loves animals as much as I do. I mean, these little guys are so lucky to have you there." And I had a little guy in my hand, Harry, and I said, "Look he's like, his eyes are 1 chromosome from being a human. He's so cute." And she said, "Oh, Joe, you're just being nice." I said, No, I really like the dogs, and it's really nice that you do that for them." I said, "Not many people go out of the way to save the life of these precious animals, so it's so sweet of you." And she said, "You want a cup of coffee?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, I'll take a cup of coffee." And right there, the paradigm shifted. And this was the moment when the sale was gotten, or when we at least weren't going to get thrown out of the house, right? So my technician and I went out to the backyard, and what we saw out there when we first got out there was a 1900 box with no cover on it. There was no disconnect on the heat pump that was out in the backyard. And it was 2 curled up wires that were faded from the sun. And there was no disconnect. Matter of fact, there was a seal-tight whip with 2 wires hanging through that were just bare, 220-volt wires that were bare. And I saw 2 other wires that were bare down by the unit that had already arced and burned through the unit a couple times. I saw the black spot on the unit. And so Evelyn comes outside, and she has a tray full of cookies and coffee. And so we're having our coffee, and she said, "So, Joe, what do you think about those wires? Is it really true that they're dangerous?" And I said, "Well, Evelyn, you told me not to talk about those or you would throw me out of the house, remember?" And she says, "I know, but if it's something I need, let me know, okay?" And I said, "Okay, I'll definitely do that." So I start looking at it, and as I start writing down my report, she's like, "So what are you writing down?" And I said, "Well, I'm just making my report, just being thorough." And I said, "I'll tell you when I'm finished." I said, "Let me ask you a question. What do you do for a living, by the way? I never asked you." And she says, "Oh, I work at the school. I'm a special counselor." And I said, "Really? What kind of counseling do you do? Why is it so special?" She says, "Well, it's special because we have this program where it's called the San Antonio Mentoring Child Program. Basically, there's some kids who get involved, their parents get involved with things like drugs and alcohol and things like that. So we try to find a healthy family to try to help mentor the kids when the parent is indisposed and they need help after school and things like that. And I said, well, how's that going? She says, well, we have over 300 kids that do this program, and it's helped many lives. And I said, has anybody been positively affected? Said, oh yeah, there was a guy from Fort Hood who came down. Now he's a sergeant, and he came down and talked about how it changed his life, this program, and he came down here to talk to the kids to inspire them. And I said, well, I can just say another thing, that those kids and that soldier is lucky to have a person like you who starts your career and focuses your career on saving those kids. He goes, yeah, well, if I don't rescue those kids, who would rescue those kids, And I said, that's true, Evelyn. I don't know who would. And I said, well, thank you so much for sharing that, and I'm honored to be in the presence of somebody who helps the community such as yourself. You mind if I tell my wife that I met a hero? And she says, oh, you stop it. And I said, no, it's true. I really think so. And she said, okay, well, you can tell her, sure. And she said, her name is Julie, and I have a dog named Brownie, too. Brownie would be proud of you. And she started laughing about that. We had a good laugh. And then, we're starting to write down all the prices, because I see what we're going to do is that on top of it, the heat pump not only had the electrical problem, but it was, the thing was right against the dryer vent, and lint was being pushed right into the heat pump. And I'm like, well, they got to get moved. We got to move the air conditioning unit like 15 feet away from that dryer vent. We're going to go ahead and put it in an area that's not near a window, so we can pivot the electrical, redo the electrical, and just get the whole thing redone from all the way from the box to the meter. And I'm going to put in some heavy-duty components in the system because they've already been abused. The system's only 4 years old, but it looks like it's 8 years old. So I'm like, yeah, we better take care of that too. So what I was doing is working up some premium, mid-range, and economy options for Evelyn, not even knowing if I was going to show it to her or not. I was going to go ahead and just take a leap of faith. And when I leave here today, I was going to say, well, I have the options, and if you don't want to see them, that's okay, but I'm just going to go on record and have those. So she still approaches me. She says, well, Joe, well, you're writing a lot of stuff there. What is it? And I said, well, you let me go ahead and just finish writing. I said, so what do you got planned for Thanksgiving? This was in October when I was out there. And she said, well, Thanksgiving, I just do what I normally do every week. And I said, what's that? She goes, well, I work with the homeless. I work at the soup kitchen, and I feed the homeless. And I said, oh my goodness, you do that? I said, you work with those dogs, and you work with the puppies, and you work with the kids, and you work with those homeless people. I said, I'll tell you what, I'm going to nominate you for the CNN Heroes, where you are definitely a hero to your community, Evelyn. Definitely, you're definitely a person of worth. And I go back and tell the guys at the shop that I met a hero that helps the homeless people and things like that. There's so many. The company itself is so generous with the community, but definitely we are inspired by your story. So thank you so much. And I had written up all the options, and I said she said, well, I said, well, Evelyn, this concludes our visit. So we've done the maintenance. Everything's all clean here now. I said, and that's it. And I do have some things I noticed that were not up to par with the unit. But like I said before, I'm not going to show it to you because I know you're going to cancel the contract. And so I did write up another form just to cancel the contract, or a service invoice that says we're going to cancel the agreement. And she said, well, what is it, the thing that we can do here? What are you saying? And I said, well, you look at the unit, you see the dryer vent pushing lint into it. How can air pass through that dryer vent, Evelyn? And she said, well, it really can't, Joe. And I said, yeah, exactly. And I said, well, how about this electrical, those bare wires that are down there? Does Harry, the little puppy, know that he shouldn't chew through those? I mean, do you give him instructions about that? And she said, well, no, I don't give him any instructions. He's just a puppy. And I said, yeah, so my greatest fear, what do you think could happen? And she says, oh my gosh, is that what he was trying to tell me last year? I said, I think he was, but I don't think he explained it right. I don't think he did. And she said, well, I want to get this stuff fixed. And I said, well, we already have an agreement to cancel the contract, right? So we have two choices. We can just cancel the contract. I'm not going to even show you the prices, and we can just move on, and I'll wish you very well. And I'll definitely tell my wife and my puppy that I met a hero today. And I said, other way we can do it is I can show you the options. And if I did that, what would happen? And she said, well, we just go ahead and get it fixed. And I said, okay, well, let me show you what I got here. And so I showed her the options, and the top option I called the Platinum Plus let Evelyn rescue the heat pump, electrical, and air movement renovation. And I said, this includes a new electrical system. I did this for Harry to make sure that all the puppies would be safe if they came into the backyard here. I also moved that dryer vent, moved the unit away from the dryer vent. This way you can have all the financial resources to pay for the operation of the heat pump and not waste money with the utility companies. I want you to use that money to be able to help the kids and help the homeless and help those puppies. That's why I don't want to take away that financial resource. That's why I went ahead and make sure that unit is being moved. I also did heavy-duty electrical components because the unit has suffered some damage from the way it was installed. And so I'm going to go ahead and do what's called a Texas hot weather kit, which is to upgrade the amperage and the hard start capabilities of the system. I call it the hot weather kit. And I did that to make sure that you won't have to buy another heat pump for a while, because this will protect that heat pump electrically. And I said we also had a 5-year service agreement. And I did that because you provide so much service to those puppies, to those kids, and to the homeless people that I just thought you should have that. That's what I thought you should have. And so that's what I did that too. And then we have the 5-year service agreement, the 5-year warranty too. So about all the stuff we're doing has a 5-year warranty on it. And she said, wow, this sounds like a lot. And I said, it is. It's a high investment, Evelyn. And she says, well, how much are we talking about? And I said, well, take a guess. She said, I don't want to guess. And I said, well, what if I said it was $5,000? She said, that's what I thought it would be. And I said, no, it's only actually $39.42 to do all that stuff. And she says, wow. She goes, Joe, is it okay if I don't purchase the top option, because I don't have that kind of money? I'm just a school teacher. And I said, well, actually, you know, we got two choices. We could just do it on a financing situation, and you'd be looking at only $78 a month. Or if you wanted to do it where you pay for it, we could just do some of it and then come back and do an upgrade later. So what should we do? And she said, well, let's go ahead and do like the $24.92 one, which is the third one down, and I'll come back and upgrade next year. And I said, are you sure? Because now when I first got here, you said you wanted to cancel, remember? She says, I know, but that's before I met you. And there is the law of connection right there. I went back to the shop and told the boss. They said, well, how did she take it when we canceled? And I said, well, she didn't cancel, unfortunately. She kept us as their company, and so that's just what happened. And so that, my friends, is what's called the law of connection. Connecting with clients to find the code. And the code that I found with Evelyn was called the rescue. Why did I get that code? Because she gave it to me. She told me what words to use. So we've all experienced the feeling of being instantly connected to somebody we meet. Somebody who changes the pattern of what we think we're going to get when we first meet them, and it's something better. Now, there's also the experience we've had where maybe we have had somebody from our family invite somebody to our home that we didn't like. Maybe it was somebody, or maybe somebody in the family who said something to us that instantly turned us off, or maybe the way they look could have instantly turned us off. We've all experienced that. That is the law of connection. So the law of connection, in essence, it's simply the feeling we get as to whether we either like somebody and we begin to trust them, or whether we don't. And the law of connectivity can be used in many different ways, and it is used right now currently by many service providers across the country. Now, whether you use it or don't use it, you are using it, because if you don't use it, then it's being used against you. People have decided they don't want to work with you and don't want you to be the service company. And your company is just a result of the people who are in it. You are the company. The company is nothing more than a compilation of people, you being one of those people. So if you choose to not connect, you are choosing to have the law of connectivity work against you, not work for you. So we can use this because we can make the effort to try to relate to people. And if people feel like we're relatable and that they feel connected to us in some way and they feel comfortable with us, then they start to like and trust us, and that makes it easier to go forward with anything we're saying. As a matter of fact, Evelyn, she told me that I feel bad that I don't want to, I know you want me to do the top option, but I can't. She almost apologetically said she couldn't do that, when 20 minutes ago she was going to throw us out of the house, right? But the biggest enemy of the law of connection is called the law of balance. The balance between doing the technical expertise of our work correctly and the balance between the people who live in the home or in the office space that we're working in. Many times I think the entire industry is out of balance. We're consumed with materials, parts, engineering data, SER, gallons per minute, drag coefficiency on the side of a pipe sewer liner. All these different things we're consumed with. None of them are consumed with the people we're working for. Basically, you can design the best system of any kind, plumbing, heating and air conditioning, or electrical system, or even a drain system. But if you're not taking into account the people who are using the system, then you are out of balance. Your balance is too much toward the technical and not enough toward the people. A good technician will keep a balance between the technical solutions and be a master of this craft, but he will also be a master communicator and a master listener to be able to hear things like the code that begins to emerge. Now, as you can see with the story I told you earlier with Evelyn, what happened is that there was a certain halo effect. So the halo effect is something that people can see is different the moment they start communicating with you. So one of the things I did to begin the halo effect when I met Evelyn, even though she said she wanted to cancel us and not do business with us again, even called us a ripoff, I said, well, thank you for the opportunity and thank you for allowing us to come out here. Matter of fact, they brought me in just for somebody like you who would be, and she made her feel special, like you were, she was important to our company. And the thing I said created the halo effect. Not to mention, I was dressed neatly, and listen, I'm not the best looking guy in the world. Nobody's ever going to mistake me for a supermodel, but I did groom well. My hair was combed and neat. My shoes were clean, and I put on surgical boots when I came into the house, and that created a halo effect too. Even the way the truck looked in the driveway or in the front of the house created a halo effect because it looks so good and it was clean. And that kind of created the expectation of a real professional company. So my question is, what are you doing to create that halo effect that immediately makes that change? There's also the similarity theory. The similarity theory are where we are similar to people in our attitude, our morality, our background, and in our appearance. In a way, we mirror the people we're in front of, and that can also help us. So I noticed that she had puppies and I had puppies. So in the similarity theory, we can say that we're very different from our customers many times. Like if we have Indian or Middle Eastern or different cultures, or Asian cultures, for instance, that most of us are not in this industry, they're unfamiliar to us. And we may say that that culture creates a difference and they're not like us. Well, the truth is that although the language is different and maybe their appearance is different, skin color and facial features, what is the same is that we have a home and they have a home. We have parents and they have parents. We have kids and they have kids. We go to school and they go to school. We have a job and they have a job, right? There's a lot more in common than we have that are differences. As a matter of fact, my friend Rick Picard recently said that with Indian people, he doubled his closing rate when he noticed that most of the people in the Indian culture value the medical industry. So he brought up several of his friends who were Indian, who are doctors, and he started bringing that up, and they were their face lit up with that kind of advice. So he's like, he couldn't believe it doubled his closing rate when it came to that group, because you start looking at it differently. Start saying, I'm going to find out what these people value and find something that we have in common rather than emphasize the differences. So people skills are important. The Carnegie Institute of Technology found that only 15% of job success is about the job we do. 85% is the people we work with or work for. Harvard University did a study and found that for every one person who loses their job because their technical skills or the work they do is underdone, that there are 2 people who lose their job because they couldn't get along with coworkers or customers. So connecting with praise. So let's talk about that, the raising of the self-esteem. One of the fastest ways to create an instant connection is by doing what I call magic moments. All humans need and want recognition and praise for the things they do. And so we can do that by many different times. Like, for instance, even when somebody says that they're very bothered or they have things they're doing at home that they're too busy, we can say, you know what, that's why I'm here, to help you, so I can go ahead and take care of the system that I'm working on. You can work with the family. I'll go ahead and do that. So we know that a simple thank you can make our day. Human beings love the psychological need to be respected and accepted. So we need affection to satisfy the inner desire to belong to a community. And so this credibility you build through connecting is essential to creating these magic moments. Now, cracking the code, connecting with others takes a focused effort. It's not easy. It's not something you have to consciously work on it. So your service begins, I always say, by the fact that you're making the effort to work with people. I notice a lot of times people say, my job is just to do the technical job I'm here to do. My job isn't to worry about the people. Well, that's not true. Your job is to worry about the people. If you just take the time to connect between you and your solution, and connect the solution to the people who are using it, in essence, you're connecting your solution to the people, not to just the equipment or just the mechanical system. So this is called finding the code or cracking the code. How do you know where you find the code? Well, listen to the words that the customer is giving to you. You're going to laugh when you realize that you're already being given the code by the client. You just need to listen for the words that the customer is using to be able to find that code and use it when you share both the problems and when you share the solutions. So crack the code to find the right words when explaining the problems and solutions. If you can find the code, then you're not asking people if to spend money on a water heater or a furnace or an air conditioning unit or electrical panel. You're asking people to spend or invest the money in their families, and that is something that people are always willing to do. So if you look at the worksheet down below, we're going to have you walk through the worksheet, and we have the first worksheet, the 3 questions to crack the code, and those questions are: who first found the problem? What did that person say is the second question, and what was it like when you heard all this stuff going on in your home? This is with the person that you're with right now. Now, you can also pass the ball, right? You can say, really, what did your wife say? Or what was it like when she told you that? What did the kids say? What did your mom say? So if they bring other people into the mix, you can ask them, what did they think? What did they say? What was that like? You can use those questions liberally to find what we call the code. What is the code? Well, when you can see down below in the worksheet, some of the codes, universally discovered codes that would be in the negative part when people have challenges, is because we have this problem on top of the fact that we have other problems in our life. Like, I don't have any time. I don't have time for this. This is frustrating because this has happened before the other providers we had. I'm worried that it's not going to last through the winter. It scares me because that thing is dangerous. It's got electrical in it. I get anxiety when I think about the money we got to spend, or I feel neglected because my kids left me, or I feel unhealthy that I'm going to be dying sometime in the near future because I'm a senior citizen, right? All these things are the negative codes. Now you can say no more frustration, no more anxiety. I did this to get rid of the anxiety, or at least get rid of this part of the anxiety, right? The universally codes for victories are different, like care, rescue, peace of mind, courage, calm. So these are words you can use in place of the negative codes when you're explaining both the problems and the solutions. So going into explaining the problems, we're going to go through those 3 questions, and then we're going to ask you, what code words have you heard? And then next week we're going to say, let's go ahead and put those code words into both the problems and put them into the solutions for putting them in the title. So we're not going to do that this week. This week we're just going to go ahead and have you do the 3 questions, and then we're going to go ahead and find the code words, and then I want to work on putting those code words into the problems and into the solutions next week.